Breaking news today that Bot Duckhead has been let go from the Geek Fest after critical season-ending mistakes he made in the Week 5 finale of the Summer of 21 season. We here at GF Recaps were able to secure Bot Duckhead for an exclusive interview. He's joined by his agent, Bot Tony.
Hey, how you doing? Reporting in.
So, in your own words, Bot Duckhead, tell us what happened.
I stand alone. Goodbye, my friends. What can be said? You got the package.
You had to know this was coming. I mean, in our last recap, we highlighted some pretty poor play. How are things between you and your teammates?
What the hell is going on? I am not the enemy.
Good job.
Oh, now the bot.
Wow. He's like, oh, the danger's over. I'm coming out.
Clearly, there is no bot in team.
I'm not sure that makes sense, Bot Tony, but whatever. The friction was clearly building before the night and culminated when Nutticles said something like, "We don't want a bot. All they do is give away our position and contribute nothing," at the start of DE Castle. How does that make you feel?
Do you think that's funny? I'm in trouble. Enemy spotted. 2 words. Discrimination lawsuit.
I'm not sure being a bot is a protected class. Plus, there were some pretty inexcusable moments. Can you tell me what was going through your mind at this scene, Bot Duckhead?
This clip was not sanctioned for release to the public. This is going bad. We must defeat the enemy, not ourselves.
Can you share what happened on DE Pyrenese? As I understand it, you were called multiple times by the team to be on the field, and you didn't show up.
What the hell? Stop shooting me. Unfair labor practices. At a time.
So what's next for you, Bot Duckhead?
This is over. I stand alone. Keep Fest on notice. Collective bargaining agreement. No stopping us. Counterbot, globally offended. This is our day.
There you have it, folks. You heard it here first on GF Recaps. The bots have gone on strike. Let's see how the rest of the season of Rage plays out without them. We now join your regularly scheduled recap, already in progress. Some wondered if the recaps would continue into the next season. Others wondered why grown men would spend hours recapping their casual gaming outing week after week. Others wondered exactly what is on GF Edge's screen number 2. Well, regardless of the answers, we've been renewed for a second season, and Unthink and Mailbox are back. And this season, we're welcoming none other than Nutticles into the booth also. Let's get into it. I'm your host, Mailbox Head, and this is GF Recaps. After a rage-filled summer and some bot collective bargaining agreements, the geeks are back in our new season,
Raging for the Holidays.
And week 1 did not disappoint, as Captain Nutticles was already quoted as saying something like,
"We're winning, and I'm still raging. I think I need help."
The same may be true for Captain Edge, who is out the next 2 weeks. Rumor has it he's checked into Rager's Retreat. Speaking of our captains, we had a Geek Fest first, and both captains picking their teams and their maps before the season even started. We also got to sit down with them for their thoughts before the season got kicked off. Well, thank you for joining us, Captain Edge. Before we get started this season, we'd like to get some of your thoughts for GF Recaps.
Thank you for joining us, Nutticles, leader of the Ragers Nuts. Before we get started this season, we'd like to get some thoughts for GF Recaps.
Captain Edge Hub, your picks have been starting with a massive 0.1 advantage. Great job with those picks. Care to let us in on your secret?
Yeah, sure, I could share a little. I went to stats.geekfest.com. It's an amazing site. I looked at all the data for all the geeks, for all the times we've played, and it was clear. I took emotion out of it, and I just didn't pick Mailbox. And everything, I think, will fall into place.
Very nice. I'm proud to have been a part of that decision.
Sorry, bud.
Captain Nutticles, your picks have started you down by a significant 0.1 overall KDR disadvantage, which is going to be tough when you're thinking about the old Edge squad over there. So care to share any insights on your strategy going into the season?
I've made my picks on consistency, players that have been consistently performing. I also think, Edge picks, he had a really great second pick with Kamikaze, who's been peaking. And I think he's going to be a huge X factor.
Well, on the other side, it was quite a surprise when Illigim showed up to rejoin us for this season on the other team. What are your thoughts about his influence and on this season's outcome?
That was quite the shocker. The legend is he would play 12-hour stints of World of Warcraft, but he would play standing up, no breaks. His calves were fucking Olympic. And that's the competitor I know. And with him joining this season, I think everyone's going to need to step up their game.
I forgot his humor. And last night there was a molly thrown and he ran right through it and just killed somebody. And afterwards, Gimp is like, he's like fucking Daenerys Targaryen. He walks right through that shit and it doesn't even bother him.
Thinking about your team, who is going to surprise us this season?
I think Gimp will be a surprise. This is a tough question for me because I see a lot of potential, but I think Gimp will be a surprise. I know Gimp hasn't played for a while, and I know he's basically been on the quote-unquote injury list. I know he's
on the IR report.
He's on the IR. Exactly, and I think that's a great analogy because like any athlete that's on IR, it takes them a little while to get their sea legs underneath them. But Gimp is a veteran. Gimp is a strategist, and just from his BF days, I remember him saying PTFO, which means play the F in objective. So I think Gimp is a great veteran strategist, and I think once he gets a couple games under his belt to get his KD up, and I think he'll play the map, and I think he'll play a big part in the strategy and winning some games and surprising a few people.
What was your strategy in picking maps for this season?
I could share a little. Okay, so I filtered out the maps to look only at the ones where I was above 1.0 KDR. You got to start somewhere. And I wasn't going to pick maps I sucked at. And then I looked at which maps I could actually remember, which unfortunately is getting worse, just as Kamikaze. And then extra points if Nuts didn't do well on that map. So that was my...
What was your strategy in picking your maps for the season?
Okay, so this is I thought this is an interesting story. I saw Edge's maps picked first. I mean, there was no real secrecy behind it, and I happened to do a little research on the stats page, and I thought Edge did a pretty in-depth analysis. That's what I assumed. So I'm like, he probably really took a look at this statistically, and actually what I did is I tried to counter his picks. And what I tried to do is I tried to look at the top players from his team, yourself, who, by the way, yourself and Dream are top spot in 80% of the map, and I tried to take the maps where his top players performed more poorly and where my top players like Warrior and Pizza are on the top of the maps.
Well, sounds great. Thanks for your time today, and now back to GF Recaps. As you heard in the interviews, yours truly, Mailbox Head, turned out to be a pivotal pick in the draft. Nutticles took Mailbox Head to own the power of the Negev, but it cost him a 0.1 KDR average advantage out of the gate. In fact, if it wasn't for the arrival of Illigim, Team's Ragers Nuts would have ended up down 0.5 KDR total. A gutsy call by Captain Nutticles. We'll see how that played out later in our round analysis. Looking at the individual player performance, Week 1 turned out worse than average for Ragers Nuts as the team played under their mean KDR. Pizza, Omicron, and Mailbox all underperformed while Kamikaze, Toes, and Unthink lit it up on Team Rage Hub. The return of the Gimp saw some of his old form come back as he surged to a respectable 0.77 KDR. He not only brought game, but also his signature dry sarcasm and tech talk that amped up the rage volume.
New look, new season, new plays, same Wednesday night. Let's check it out. Play number 3 this week goes to Kamikaze in his A-site defensive shutdown. Snapping to heads on ramp like buttons on jeans, Kamikaze takes out Duckhead and Omicron, who wish they had worn sweatpants to this Kamikaze feast. Seeking out the lone mailbox head, our hero lines the last one up for a 5-kill streak. As we near the Thanksgiving holiday, play number 2 is a reminder that everyone coming together isn't always a good thing. Unthink clears the initial push to connector, dropping nuts and pizza as they push to B site. With little time on the reload, Warrior is held off and offers a free weapon. It's often more about what you give than what you receive.
Jump is in the corner.
A quick peek to drop the flash and clear Illy, followed by a tough angle on Omicron from above, leaving just Duckhead in the 1v1 situation.
Stuck.
Duck.
Unthink falls after a failed fake flash. Duckhead cleans up this round for Rager's nuts.
Yeah, you got it.
Wait, no. Where does?
Well,
Hey, stop defusing
Messed up. Yeah.
the top play this week goes to Toes, who had an insane night pulling a 1.29 KD, shattering his all-time average of .93. After taking out the flank, Toes addresses the 2v1 coming from mid with a clean spray control, stifling the CT advantage and bringing it to a 2v1 with Nuts and Pizza camping the bomb located in Long Hall. But Toes knows, Pizza exposed, and 1v1 it goes. With the Peeker's advantage lock on, Toes takes the 5 kills and a round win.
Box, thank you for welcoming me to the booth. I'm both honored, excited, and a little nervous to stand in. I have some big shoes to fill. So let's get to it. On to the first map of the night, Toscan. Rager's Nuts look solid on CT early, losing only one player in the pistol round. Gaining weapons advantage, the CTs played round 2 aggressively, but were completely shut down by Rage Hub. Once Rage Hub got rifles, it was game over. Toes borrowed a silenced M4 off of Warrior's corpse, which he used for a staggering 11-0 kill streak over the next 7 rounds, proving once again is the best money can buy. Meanwhile, Unthink grabbed an AK and delivered a headset, smashing 3.84 map KDR. Rage Hub patiently dug in on the CT side, finishing off Rager's Nuts with a decisive 11-3 victory. On to Resort. Rager's Nuts grabbed T's and went out to an early 6-1 lead thanks to Warrior and Pizza's aggressive gameplay. Grabbing into Gav in round 7, Kamikaze single-handedly swung momentum back to Rage Hub's direction by long-mowing Rager's Nuts' A-side plan attempt. Winning the next 5 of 6 rounds, it looks like Rage Hub had the winning formula. Well, Warrior had other plans. Buying an AUG on round 14, Warrior led Rager's Nuts, winning the next consecutive 5 rounds to close out the map with an astonishing 2.42 map KDR, sealing Rager's Nuts' 11-7 map victory. On to the final tie-breaking map of the night, Rails. Picking CT, Rage Hub looked to have a dominant strat from the get-go, with the Augmeister Kamikaze locking down Side A, guarding B from above. In a quick rotation, they dominated the first 6 rounds. Round 7, Rager's Nuts served Rage Hub a slice of hot pizza. Mr. Destiny, grabbing an SG-553, won the battle of the rifles at Long A, enabling a successful plant and shifting momentum back to the T's. Once on CT, Rager's Nuts won 7 of the next 10 rounds. A combination of Duckhead's vicious auto-sniper guarding of Long A and a constant CT mid-rush just put too much pressure on Rage Hub. Rager's Nuts was able to pull out an 11-9 nail-biting victory. Overall on the evening, Rager's Nuts won 2 out of 3 maps. However, Rage Hub won more rounds, going 27-25.
A fantastic kickoff to the Raging for the Holidays season, and the teams are set up for yet another highly competitive matchup. Week 2 action is back this Wednesday, and the questions remain. Will Illygimp be the kryptonite to Rage Hub's strength? Will Nuts relax his grip on his seemingly rage-resistant mouse? Will Edge clear his browsing history? All those answers and more on Geek Fest Recaps.